we're wired for this, right? This is in our DNA, this is in our evolution. So it's just really exposure therapy. You just need to do it more and more and more, right? These are some helpful techniques and tips, but like honestly, if you just did this without fear and you just went out there and talked to women and tried things, and you would naturally, all of this would come to you naturally. I'm trying to put this in a context to where it's doable, right? Because yes, I actually agree. Like going out and doing like random cold approach pickup and that shit sucks. And there is an element of fear there because you are kind of just going up to women, encroaching on their space and making them reject or like you and putting them in a weird position. And it is weird. What's actually there is just a body of a man standing there, right? So that's what she's seeing. That's what you are, right? Remove all of these mental concepts about yourself. Oh, I'm a loser. Oh, I can't talk to women. Oh, I'm not, this isn't me. This isn't my genetics. This isn't blah, blah, blah. That's all conceptual bullshit. Because I guarantee that there are guys out there that look way worse than you that are having much more success with women, right? And what is all of that? That's just mental game. They just have a different mindset than you. You're probably totally fine. There's probably so much more that you're amplifying about yourself, making weird about yourself. And you know what? There's probably a lot of women that are actually interested in you, that would want to get to know you, that would want to date you, that would want to have sex, right? Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Lion's Heart. And in this video, we're going to be diving into approaching and meeting women out in the real world. And if you're like me and you're like most guys, you're probably pretty sick of the dating advice that's out there and the approach advice that's out there. Whether it's the Andrew Tate kind of alpha male stuff or just completely tiring and draining and exhausting like cold approach thing where it's like, go out and talk to 30, 50 women in a club every night and just burn out all of your energy and stay out till 3 a.m. and just deal with kind of like drunk, immature, chaotic people. A lot of closed doors, a lot of rejection. If you're just sick of this advice and also sick of the dating apps, oh my God, don't even get me started on the dating apps. They're just so bad and they're so like tailored against men. Like it's just, as a man, those are probably even more demoralizing and degrading to your own poise and centeredness and masculinity and confidence than going out and doing this cold approach club kind of way of meeting women. I mean, the dating apps are just terrible. So if you're sick of this kind of stuff and you kind of want a different way of going about approaching and meeting women that's actually enjoyable, that gives you energy, that feels good, that's more mature, that kind of keeps you in your poise, keeps you with self-respect, but also optimizes and utilizes open doors, right? Like puts yourself in more contexts that are more, there's a higher chance of success, there's a higher chance of a good interaction. Then stick with me here because that's what we're going to be diving into today. And I'm going to give you guys some tips on mindsets, environments, techniques, all of these things that are going to help you out to really have more success in approaching and dating women, right? And that's kind of what we're doing with Lion's Heart, right? We want to put our consciousness and approach and skill and mastery into everything we do, right? So why not do that with the domains of dating and attraction and sexuality, whether you're just trying to have more sexual experiences in a high integrity, honest way. That's totally fine. You can definitely explore that. That's not wrong. That's not bad. Or if you want to have a girlfriend or you just want to have lovers or you just want to interact with the feminine more, I think that this video will help, you know, all kinds of guys. And even if you already have experience with dating and talking to women, I think there'll still be pillars in here that will help you. And just on the point of like why I'm making this video, because this channel is about, you know, consciousness and masculinity and discipline. And we do talk about the sexual energy a lot. We talk about, you know, controlling and honing and having mastery over the sexual energy. But I also think that it's very important that we express and, express our desires and live that sexual energy too and express it with the feminine. I think that being able to interact with the feminine in a skillful way is very important. I think it's very important to know how to talk to women and to have girlfriends and to have relationships because this sculpts and develops you as a man in very foundational and core ways that just meditating or doing discipline or doing semen retention or reading cannot, right? So I think it's very important to go out into the world and to meet women, especially at younger ages, like your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s actually even. I think it's vital. And we just live at such a disadvantaged time. People are less social than ever. People are on apps. People think it's weird to, just go start conversations or start dating out in the world. So that's kind of what this is tailored to. This is kind of an adjustment to the times we live in, and I want this to be more suitable and sustainable for you guys. And I actually want you to also have success, right? It's very important to actually see success happening, right? And so that's what I think this video will help with. And it's really important that we just hone in on these first 30 seconds to a minute of meeting someone, of meeting a woman, right? Every single relationship that's ever happened, every marriage, every friendship, every lovership has all started from this meeting point, right? At some point, and this sounds very obvious, but at some point people had to meet each other, right? Like whether it was an introduction through friends, whether they were dancing and met at the club, whether they met on some dating app, there's always had to be some meeting point, right? And so that's what we're honing in on and focusing on and putting this video and this attention towards, because those first 30 seconds to a minute are actually very key moments. It's very important, right? It's very important that chunk of time, right? So that's what we're going to be honing in on today. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's dive in. All right, guys, so going to move this forward and get into the technique and environment and some things that are very important to know. But really just the point of this introduction was to just emphasize the importance of, having that sexual relationships, going out into the world, meeting women, having sex with women, creating romance, right? Learning how to date, learning how to have social skills. All of these things are very important. And I think that the amount of people that these things aren't important to is very, very small. It's a very, very small amount. Like the Ramana Maharshis or the Buddhas and things like that. And even those guys, eventually they did, socialize and have to learn how to relate to people and deal with people, right? So we always want to be coming from the truth, right? We always want to be coming from our core, which is that everything is one being. Like it's just one being experiencing itself in different forms. That love and unity is the truth of reality. To always come with these pillars of kindness, of helping, support, while also being in our masculine core and expressing desire and going after and creating and manifesting what we want to experience in these domains, right? So I think both of these things are very important, and they can be balanced out. You don't have to be just like a straight up asshole, manipulating liar. And you also don't have to be like a spineless kind of spiritual, starry-eyed kind of guy where you're just so, kind and loving that you don't have any, you don't express your desires and you don't go for it and you don't have any kind of dominance or anything like that, right? It doesn't have to be so black and white, right? We can integrate the two. And one of the core pillars of this concept of conscious pickup, of learning to meet women while staying in our core, is actually this core principle is to do our best to leave the interaction, however it went, to leave the interaction with the woman as positive as possible, right? As much benefiting her as possible, right? And one of the key pillars here is to leave her feeling better off after your interaction than she was before, right? So, and this is hard to do because you never know what you're going to get, right? Like there's so many different people. Like I'm in Bali right now and there's so many different cultures and different people and different ways of interacting. You really never know how someone's going to react to you even just saying hello. Like I've had, dirty looks just saying hello, and I've also had such great interactions. So it's another reminder that you just can't take any of this personal, right? Like you're just a man standing there, right? That they don't know anything about you. You know everything about you. You might know, who you are and your everything that's good about you and all the value you provide and your strengths and weaknesses. But to them, you have to remember that you're just a guy standing there, right? Like what you represent is it's very much a concept. It's very much like a limited concept of what they think, you are. So it's like not taking anything personal. And also just kind of remembering that, you're dealing with different types of people. There's always different kinds of energies. There's always different kinds of cultures, ways of doing things. So it's always going to be different, and you really can't take any of that stuff personal, but you still want to do your best to leave her feeling better off before you met her than she was after. So even if you get a rude, like, ugh, whatever, or like, leave me alone, or like this, which is rare, that actually rarely happens, no matter the culture. Most people are pretty socially aware to at least be kind, but if they're not, even then it's like this principle, right? It's just following this principle of like positivity and like being a good vibe and like, okay, I understand and have a good day. I just wanted to say I liked your dress or I liked your hair or whatever, just being cool, being positive, things like that, and not taking things personal. And really just coming with that kindness, realizing everyone's in their own world, everyone's having their own experience, their own history, things like that, what they might be going through. Just kind of keeping that in mind. So now let's dive into the actual technique. But before we go into the technique, I want to explain something about the environment, right? So the environment is very important, right? We can't just, and there's this thing that I want to mention, which is like the young bull approach, right? And the young bull approach is kind of just like this 20-year-old attitude of like, why can't I just go out there and just like talk to every woman I see and like just go and rejection, do 30 approaches a day and like this kind of mentality. And I think this can work if you've got the gall and the willpower to do that, go for it. But I don't think it's sustainable. I think eventually you burn out and it kind of wears you down, right? It kind of wears you down and it's a little bit, there's almost like an immaturity to it of just bouncing around from woman to woman, who's attracted, who's interested. And trying these like kind of gimmicky approaches and because they can feel that, right? They can feel that you're not centered. They can feel that you've probably done this like 20 times today. You're kind of coming from like a cheesy, shallow place, right? And that's kind of my issue with the club scene. That's kind of my issue with, going out on the streets and walking around the streets and just running after women and it's just, it does work sometimes. Don't get me wrong. It can work and it can be effective. But really, again, with Lion's Heart, what I'm focused on with every part of this channel is sustainability and enjoyability, right? We don't want to hate going out and talking to women. We don't want it to be like, oh, I've got all this approach anxiety, I have to push through, I have to force things. It's like, we want to integrate this into our life so it becomes a part of our being and it's something we enjoy. It's like going to the gym. It's like, I've built up my gym routine, but now I go like 6 days a week and I love it. And I've built up to that, right? And it's not a force. It's not a grind. I can't wait for my gym time, right? Same with meditation. Meditate an hour every morning and it's just like part of my day now. But for some people, an hour might be too long, right? So we want to work our way into these things and integrate them. So you really want to protect your state, right? It's very important that you protect your mind state. I actually think this is underrated. People say just like, no, you got to get into state, you got to do that. But, if you don't choose well and if you're not wise and you're in the wrong environment and you're just getting rejected, I really don't care who you are. Like that's going to wear away at you. That's going to wear away at your state. It's going to wear away at your confidence. It's going to wear away at your excitement for doing this. And especially if you're just starting, it's going to quickly diminish your enthusiasm about this, and it's going to make it like a horrible, draining process, right? You want this to give you energy, right? So the environment is very important, right? And you want to choose an environment where there's people that are doing things together, right? Like it's almost like you're in a group, and it doesn't have to be like, like a 10-year, you're in like this 10-year church community thing together. Like that's a little bit going too far. It can be something as simple as being in a hostel together, like a hotel or a guest house or a hostel. It can be that simple. There's kind of an energy of we're in this group thing together. It can be going to a workshop with a bunch of people. It can be going to a yoga class. It can be going to a boxing class. It can be going to a meetup event, right? Like meetup.com. It can be so many different things where there's kind of like this context, right? There's this context of the environment where we're a group of people doing this thing together, right? And that immediately, it's kind of strange and it's kind of funny how that works, but it's human psychology. Even if you could be the weirdest, creepy, whatever in the world, but if you're doing things in a group and you're part of that group, there's something that's happening psychologically that almost makes you have more social validation and more part of the group than if you were just some random guy on the street, right? Just talking to women at the park or the cafe or the club. Like immediately, when you're just a complete stranger like that and you're not even in the same context together, immediately it puts you at a huge disadvantage, and it puts you at a huge, just like it's kind of almost like there's a very high chance of getting rejected there, right? So you want to be, and you want to avoid a rejection. I really think that you don't want to put yourself immediately in like points of rejection, right? Where you're just immediately right out of the gate, hey, I thought you were cute. What's your number? Like, I get why people say like to do that, to kind of be direct and put it on the table, but you don't need to be that direct, because most women kind of understand and most people kind of know what's going on behind the scenes, right? If you're an attractive young person, she's an attractive young person, you're both single and you're both kind of talking, there's almost always this kind of, maybe even in the background, but assumption or energy of like, this could be a romantic thing, this could be a sexual thing, right? So you want to keep that in mind, and that you don't have to always put yourself in like a position of rejection, and you also don't have to put her in a position of rejecting or accepting you, because that's also uncomfortable for her, right? So I actually really think like the best way to start things is to just be cool, right? Is to just be cool and friendly and social, and that's actually how you start to just build rapport, and then from there you can also move into attraction. But let's stay on the environment for now. So yeah, you want to go into these places where people are doing things together. There's kind of this like group vibe, and then when you're in this venue, what you want to do is you want to look around and find the women that you actually find attractive, right? So you got to be clear on that. It's not, you want to really know within like, okay, do I find her attractive, right? And so once you've kind of distinguished that and found the women that you're attracted to, now what you want to do is to hone your subtle skills, is what I call this, is hone your sensitivity, hone your subtle skills. Women are very subtle, right? They're not going to be like guys. They're not going to be staring at you. They're not going to be like, oh, nice outfit, like they're very subtle. They don't want to pump up your ego. They hate pumping up the male ego. Like, I'm actually learning more and more, like women really hate the male ego, and I get it. The male ego is a fragile, inflated thing. And they really don't like to engage it. They like men who have small egos, right? I find that they actually find a lot of attraction with guys who don't have like a huge sense of self, sense of ego, right? And you can still be powerful and aggressive and dominant and stuff and not have like a huge, fragile, reactive ego, or like a huge, inflated, narcissistic ego, right? So women are not going to pump up your ego. You could be the most attractive guy in the room, and they're not going to be staring at you, and they're not going to be doing a bunch of obvious things. You want to hone your skills to see the subtleties, right? Women are very subtle, right? So maybe it's a glance, right? Maybe it's she walks by you and flips her hair, like the hair flip is a classic. Maybe even she bends over near you, or she's kind of showing some skin, or she's just kind of like some cleavage is hanging around, or she's just close to you, right? It's these very subtle, small things, right? And so you have to think like a woman. You have to think in those terms, right? I've had so many female friends that say to me, like, why aren't guys talking to me? Like, I'm going out there, I'm standing near them, I'm looking at them, I'm smiling at them. And it's like, it's because our brains don't think like that. Like to us, that means nothing, right? That means literally nothing. We're like, why isn't she, if she wants me to talk to her, why isn't she talking to me, right? But they don't think like that, right? And we, as the man, we have to kind of cater to her, right? Because we're the approacher, right? We're coming into her space. We're the ones who are, the males. In most of nature, the males are the ones who have to initiate and put their nuts on the line, right? You got to put your nuts on the line. That's part of this, right? So you go into the environment, and then you start looking for IOIs, right? Okay, so we got the environment down. Now what I want to go to is mindsets. So mindsets are very important. And the first mindset that I want to share here is to embrace the cringe, right? So similar to how I said before, you never know what you're going to get with people. You never know what they're going to be like, or how the interaction is going to go, how the experience is going to go. Dealing with humans is messy, right? It's not as simple as going to the gym and reading books and meditating and studying and learning things, right? Like, humans are messy beings. We have different needs, desires, programming, traumas, all of these things, right? So it's going to be a messy situation, right? There's people that are not attracted to you. There's people that are attracted to you but don't know how to express it. There's people that have sexual trauma. There's just so much going on that you have to not give a fuck, really. You can't give a fuck. It's similar to the dog park example. Like, you can't be getting lost in and getting reactive to and cringing at all these moments, because there's going to be very cringe moments. You're going to get rejected. You're going to have a weird situation. You're not going to know what to do. Her friends are going to come, and like, there's just an infinite amount of weird shit it's probably going to be 90% weird, cringe shit, 10% flow and good, good interaction. So you got to get used to the cringe. You got to actually almost in a weird way kind of enjoy the cringe. Like learn to just have like a good, nice taste for cringy shit, right? I can't say it any better than that, but it's like there's going to be so many cringe moments that happen, and you just got to be okay with it, especially as the man, especially as the one initiating and going for it. You just have to embrace the cringe and let it hit you and let it soak in and just feel it almost like an ice bath, just like, oh God, it's like, oh, but like, oh, okay, I'll take it, So embrace the cringe. Second key mindset here is fuck fear, right? Fuck fear. Fear is going to be the one thing that's going to, I think honestly, we don't even need to have this discussion, right? If guys just dropped their fear, if we just dropped our fear, we would have all the social skills, we have all the sexual skills, because we're wired for this, right? This is in our DNA, this is in our evolution. So it's just really exposure therapy. You just need to do it more and more and more, right? These are some helpful techniques and tips, but like honestly, if you just did this without fear and you just went out there and talked to women and tried things, and you would naturally, all of this would come to you naturally. You would learn all of this naturally, probably, hopefully. So fear is like the biggest bottleneck to men having success in pickup and dating and with women, because we have so much fear of rejection, we have so much fear of cringe, we have so much fear of our egos getting hurt, we have so much fear of things going wrong, that so many men, they just end up going their own way and being like incels and porn addicts and all this stuff. And to me, that's just sad. That's just not part of being a man. That's not part of life. Like, I think a very deep part of life is this balance with masculine and feminine, and it is having women in your life, and it's being able to be masterful and good with women, right? You learn so much in this domain, right? And not even talking about sexual skills and sexual mastery and these things. That's a whole nother amazing, beautiful domain that we'll cover. But really, it's just this learning to interact with women and be good with women and dating. Like, why would you not want that? It's beautiful. So fuck fear. You got to look fear in the face, and you just got to go and do these things, right? And I'm trying to put this in a context to where it's doable, right? Because yes, I actually agree. Like, going out and doing random cold approach pickup and that shit sucks. And there is an element of fear there, because you are kind of just going up to women, encroaching on their space and making them reject or like you and putting them in a weird position. And it is weird. It is a little weird, right? And there is a time and place for that, to sometimes do that, but that can't be your only form of meeting women and pickup and stuff, because it's just going to wear away at you, like I said earlier. So we can't have a lot of fear here, and that's why I'm trying to give you a different way to come about dating and approaching, right? And the third mindset that we have here is mastery and no ego, right? So what we want to do here is we want to look at this as kind of like an experiment, right? We want to look at this as a kind of an experiment with dating with women. And what really helps is to keep in mind that you are just, like I said earlier, you're just a human man, right? There's no buddy in there. Everything that you have about yourself, ideas about yourself, concepts about yourself, they're all made up. That's all mind. What's actually there is just a body of a man standing there, right? So that's what she's seeing. That's what you are. Right? Remove all of these mental concepts about yourself. Oh, I'm a loser. Oh, I can't talk to women. Oh, I'm not, this isn't me. This isn't my genetics. This isn't blah, blah, blah. That's all conceptual bullshit. Because I guarantee that there are guys out there that look way worse than you, that are having much more success with women, right? And what is all of that? It's just mental. That's just mental game. They just have a different mindset than you, right? They just have a different energy than you, right? I was watching a show, Love on the Spectrum, and it's about, autistic people that are dating and things like that. And there's guys in that show that are getting girlfriends and they're getting dates and they're kissing girls, right? So, it's the women are autistic too, but it just shows that you don't. There's so much self-limiting bullshit, and I'm sure that you're totally fine. You're probably totally fine. There's probably so much more that you're amplifying about yourself, making weird about yourself. And you know what? There's probably a lot of women that are actually interested in you, that would want to get to know you, that would want to date you, that would want to have sex, right? And all of this self-imposing conceptual bullshit is just getting in the way of that, right? So what is mastery? Mastery is, and I got a lot of this from Peter Rawson, but it's mastery is where you remove your ego and you try to understand what you're working with and what you're working on as itself, as a process, right? if you're trying to master martial arts, right, you remove me and how this affects me and myself and my needs and things like that, and you just look at the actual process itself. How do I be the best fighter possible in MMA or something, right? So if I do this with my arm and then they react like that, like, you get what I'm getting at? Like there doesn't need to be anyone in there for you to master this. There doesn't need to be an ego or a person, right? Nothing has to be personal. So you can do this with dating and attraction. You can like treat it as an experiment. You can go out there with a mastery mindset of like, how do I best use this body, this male body here, to relate to women, to meet women, to date women, to get them interested, what works, what doesn't work, right? What are the principles of this? How is this like being effective or not effective, right? And so to me, this is just a very powerful mindset, which has helped me a lot in this domain of this kind of mastery, this kind of like, let me start with a blank slate, right? Let there not be a bunch of history in here and a bunch of stories and a bunch of self-concepts and a bunch of bullshit. And let me actually switch the script from my needs to her experience and her needs. And we'll talk about that in a bit, but you know, it's just this mastery mindset of like, how do I best utilize this tool without making it personal to master this domain of dating? Like, how does this process of attraction work, right? What's working, what's not? How can I read her reactions and her emotions and like change this so that I can become masterful in this domain? And obviously that's also while keeping authenticity and being yourself, right? So you want to have a strong core of who you are. And not completely sell out and just be a complete manipulator. But also, yeah, you do want to have mastery in this process, right? It is a skill, right? So when you're saying, oh, I'm just being myself when I'm this anxious, like nervous wreck, that's actually not you, right? And you can become more skillful in that and not have those, you know, emotions pouring out and things like that, if that makes sense. The next mindset is to have her... It's kind of like what I call the girlfriend goggles, right? So this is like where you're interacting with her, you're on dinner, you're on a date or whatever. I want you to put on the girlfriend goggles, right? And the girlfriend goggles are basically where you're seeing her already as your girlfriend. You're treating her already as your girlfriend. This is a little weird when it's like a stranger, like you just met her on your first date. But for me, this is a really powerful mindset shift. And the thing you can do with your mind is like, okay, what if I've been dating this girl for 2 years, right? Like, how can I most create that in my mind as our interaction, right? And what it does is subconsciously, it makes you more relaxed. It makes you more chill. It makes her feel more safe. It creates this kind of rapport, like you know each other, right? So you're just really like, you're treating her like a girlfriend that you don't even know you had yet or something like that. Like you've already known her for a year kind of thing. And I find this to be a really powerful technique is like, what if I stopped creating this weird stranger dynamic that I don't know her? And I just treated her like she's my girlfriend and I know her and we're totally chill, right? I find this to be a very powerful mindset. And then the fourth mindset here is a maturity. So with maturity is like I said earlier, like the club scene is kind of immature. It's kind of childish. You really want to come at this with the maturity of like, you're a man, right? She's a woman. You're both adults. You know, you come with like a calmness and a coolness rather than this like angsty teenager kind of like grabby kind of like overexcited energy, right? It's just like, yes, I'm a man, you're a woman. Maybe we want to fuck, right? Like, why does that have to be so weird? Why does that have to be such a hidden thing? Why do I have to play like these weird corny games, these weird cheesy games? Like, just be mature about it, right? Like, really, like, be that man, right? And that's why I think it's good to not put yourself in positions of constant rejection. Put yourself in the right environments, right? Have the right approach, build the energy correctly. Because if you're at a club and you're just constantly getting rejected and making dick jokes and, you know, doing stupid stuff to entertain drunk girls, like it's going to make your whole approach to attraction and sex and dating childish, right? It's going to put you in a childish frame. And it's going to have a childish kind of attitude around the whole thing of sex. And like, you want to be like a man, right? You want to be a man who's going to fuck her, right? Who properly fuck her, right? So this whole mindset needs to be mature, right? She's a woman, you're a man. There's a romantic energy there. You're both humans. There's a sexual energy, and you might act on it, right? And it might happen, right? So that's kind of a more strong mindset to have, is like, just be that mature man who's creating this, right? And the final pillar here is to remember that you're a social animal, right? Remember that this is part of your DNA. This is part of your evolution, right? So as you do this more and more, it's going to become more natural. It's going to become more in your nervous system. You're going to learn how to do it. You're going to get better at it, right? So you want to keep that mastery mindset as you do this so that you can learn and grow. You don't want to just keep hitting the same wall. The classic metaphor of a fly, trying to get out of the jar the same exact way over and over and over. It's like, fly this way, try this, so if you're getting success and it's going well, then obviously hone those skills and goes deeper into those skills. But if nothing's working, you want to try different things. But also just trust your own evolution, your own DNA, that as you do this more and more, you'll get better and better at it. And just keep that consistency. It's like going to the gym, right? That's why I don't advise doing stupid 30 club pickup rounds. Like, just go to some kind of event every night, go to some kind of meetup or yoga class or ecstatic dance or something, and learn to just start talking to people and talking to women and stuff, and do 3 approaches a day. And they don't even have to be, like I said, they don't even have to be yes or no rejections. It's just learning this skill of approaching, learning these first 30 seconds of meeting women and talking to women. So trust yourself, trust your biology, and now we will dive into the actual techniques and how to do this. All right, now we're going to dive into the actual techniques. So this is the juicy stuff. But before we dive into that, one more pillar here is to remember that you're already whole. You're already complete. This is like a game, right? This is like playing a game. You don't want to come at this from a place of neediness or thinking that this is going to fulfill you, or that you want to come from a place of wholeness. You want to realize that a lot of this is still like survival and ego games, and it's not something to be taken too seriously, right? And always remember, no matter what's going on in life, that you're whole and you're complete, and that you're good and you can be happy, right? Nothing needs to happen for you to be happy, okay? This is like, we're learning skills. We're learning to master. It's like learning to master martial arts or tennis or something, right? Like, do you need that to be happy? No, but it's cool to do. It's cool to learn, right? And as much as dating and sexuality is an important part of life, it's not necessary for your happiness. Nothing should be necessary for your happiness, right? You want to do your best in life, right? Like, you want to have good health. You want to have solid finances. You don't want to be greedy. You don't want to need to be like a billionaire, but like, have all this shit down and then just live well and live masterfully. That's what Light Lion's Heart's about. It's about this powerful simplicity and not asking too much of life, but also getting your shit down, getting your shit together, right? So you want to come from this place of wholeness. Find that wholeness within yourself if you haven't yet, that you're already whole. Go meditate, right? Go read books, read Ending Unnecessary Suffering, things like that. Find that wholeness in yourself. And another thing here is you want to come from a place of contained, cool emotions, right? You don't want to be overexcited. You don't want to be over emotional. You don't want to be spilling your emotions. Like, come with that like grounded masculine kind of like calmness, coolness, centeredness, right? A lot of guys is like, they're on a date, they start talking about themselves and they reveal too much. They reveal too much emotion. You want to be kind of mysterious and cool. At least that's my approach. If your approach is different, that's fine. But do what's authentic to you. But I like being just kind of calm and composed and having this like poise, right? Being cool and keeping this kind of like poise in dating. Especially in the beginning, as you're just getting to know each other and building attraction. You don't want to share too much. You don't want to be spilling out too much emotion, right? And obviously, feelings can't hurt you. You can, whatever happens, you get rejected, you get hurt. This is just ego, survival reactions. Easier said than done, but you can sit with these and you can feel these. And like I said, with the mastery pillar, it's like you want to remove the reactivity. You want to remove how the experience is affecting you and get more curious about what's happening and how the process is going and how the mastery is going, right? Which brings us to our first technique here, which is the experience, right? You want to drop your experience, drop how this is affecting you, drop your needs, right? So many guys, 99.9% of guys, when they go up to a woman to interact or say hello or whatever, it's about them. It's about, what can this do for me? What can she do for me? What can I get out of this? How is this affecting me? What did she just say that made me feel this way, right? And this is how everybody pretty much relates all the time, right? It's always about, how is this affecting me? That's just kind of how we are. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just kind of how our experience is. But the conscious move, the conscious masterful move, is to actually completely forget about yourself and your needs and your desires and your reactions, and turn this into a science experiment, and turn this into a curiosity rather than a reactivity of what's her experience? How am I affecting her? How is she reacting to my body and my gestures and this human being standing here, right? Like, what's her experience? What's going on in there? How might this be affecting her? How might she be feeling, right? Like, get as curious as possible and get as intuitive as possible into her experience. And one way to think about this is, imagine that you're a woman. Like, really just visualize and meditate that you're a woman. You're out at a cafe, right? And a guy comes up to you and starts talking to you, right? Like, how would you want him to be? How would you want his energy to be? How would it affect you and your needs and maybe your desires and your wants, right? So instead of just taking things personal, see it from her point of view. Like, would you want to go hang out with a guy who's like super anxious and needy and like putting all this fucking pressure on you of like, say yes or no and give me your number, like right out of the gate while you're just having a fucking coffee? Like, does that make her a bitch? Like, I don't know. That's kind of, that would annoy the shit out of me, right? Now, if I was at a cafe and someone came up and they were friendly and cool and good energy and like attractive and these things, like, that's a different story, right? So put yourself in her shoes, right? Don't just make it about you and obsessing about your needs and how you're performing and all this stuff, right? This is that mastery mindset that I talked about, right? So the next thing here is the energy that you bring into the interaction. And this is like the first like 5 seconds, right? So this is like, how are you showing up? How are you coming in there? What's like your actual internal state? Because women are very intuitive, and she's going to pick up on your internal state probably better than you can, right? And it's not that you have to be perfect, no anxiety, but just owning where you're at, but also coming from a really like a grounded kind of cool place. You're coming from a cool, grounded energy, right? And maybe you need to work out before you go socialize. Maybe you need to do some breath work, right? And this is a side note, but I do recommend kind of like blocking out a set of time in each day to go socialize. Like, maybe it's at night, you have like a 2-hour block where you're like, okay, I'm going to go to this event. I'm going to do this. I'm going to socialize, instead of like keeping it open throughout the whole day of like, oh, if I see a cute girl in the cafe or the gym, like, I don't like that as much, because you want to build the state and you want to get in that mind state. And sometimes I'm just at the cafe, I just want to work, or I just want to go to the gym and work out. And trying to do pickup and socializing can kind of get in the way of that. There's definitely space and time to change that. But anyway, that's just this kind of a side note. I do think it's better to have like a dedicated time to do these things. So anyway, you come in with the energy, you come in with the right energy, right? And also, a lot of this shows through the eyes, right? So the first thing she's going to do when you say hello, when you say anything, like when you make any comment, when you say anything, when you meet her, is she's going to look at you in the eyes and try to gauge your energy, right? It's a little intense, but you actually want to utilize this. Don't be afraid of this part. This is where you can actually make the most of a good impression, of a strong impression, right? So you want to look at her right in the eyes. You don't want to be afraid of this part, and you want to portray and transmit through your eyes an energy of like, I'm here, this is okay, this is safe, I'm grounded, and I want to get to know you, right? And I'm here, right? Like, I'm really here, I'm not afraid, right? So like, it's hard to explain this through words, but you're really transmitting an energy of like, no, I'm actually, and also like, I respect myself, right? And I'm a strong person. Like, I don't need anything from this interaction. I don't need anything from you. You're coming as just like, boom. This is your choice. This is your choice, right? Like, we can keep this interaction going or not. But that's what you're portraying through the eyes, right? And you look at her, right in the eyes, and it's not like an intense stare. It's not like a creepy, dominant kind of thing. You're just like, boom, right? Like, I'm here. Okay, that's the best way I can explain that. But as you do this, you'll get better at that. Okay, so the first thing, and then let's move into, now you found her, right? So you're at your environment, you're at your place. You've gotten maybe some clues, maybe some hints that she might be interested, right? So you go over, you have the cool energy, you have the cool eye contact. And then what you want to do is you don't want to, as I said earlier, you don't want to put yourself in a place of rejection or acceptance right out of the gate, right? That's not the right mindset. That's not where you want to come from. You want to make a kind of like a comment, and you want to create an open discussion, typically about something that's happening that she can kind of, it's like playing tennis, right? You want to serve a hit so she can hit something back, right? So maybe you guys did a gym class together or something. You go, oh, have you been here a while? This gym? Or, you're in a yoga class. Like, have you been doing yoga for a long time? Or you're hanging out at the club and you're like your workout club, you're swimming in the pool and you hear her talking and she's speaking in another language. Okay, what language is that? What language? Where are you from? Like these kind of things. So it's just showing like an interest, it's showing a curiosity, and it's opening the floor for conversation. It's opening the floor for relating and a relationship to happen, right? And that's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. And honestly, on a very subtle level, this is kind of opening the floor of rejection and acceptance, but it's not as direct as, do you like me? Or, hey, I thought you were cute and I wanted to, like none of this kind of shit. It's just like, there is a subtle layer there of like, do you want to keep this conversation going or not? But it doesn't have to be so intense and put everybody in this like cringe situation of, do you like me or not, right? So from there, the first thing that's going to happen is she's either going to start responding and answering the questions or she's not. And if she's not, you respectfully and in a cool way, just walk away. The second, I don't like the mindset, and some pickup people like, say this is a cool thing to do, but like where you keep pushing and you keep, no, it's like, no, you got to push through her barriers, push through her blocks. She actually wants you to keep going. Like none of that shit. The second I get a tinge of, I'm not interested, I don't want this to keep going, I walk away, because it's disrespectful to yourself and it's disrespectful to her to, you are in a certain sense like encroaching on her space, right? You're coming into her space, into her world, and you're initiating something, right? So if she's not interested, it's almost like it's invasive to continue that interaction. If she's giving social cues that she doesn't want this to happen or she doesn't want to keep it going, right? So the second that happens, you scrap it and you walk away. Back to the dog park mentality. You keep sniffing, you keep walking around. But if she does, what's going to happen is she's going to respond, she's going to say some things, and you want to kind of like, especially in the beginning, you want to keep the conversation going, right? So you're going to ask her some more questions. She's going to respond, so the questions keep going. And from here, you want to kind of just be listening, right? So test your listening skills, right? And so this is where, you really make this a meditation. You make this a process of like, how can I best listen to her? And then you want to mirror back what she's saying, right? So she's saying things, you're asking questions. You want to kind of like keep the conversation going, keep her interested. But also you want to respond back to her. So maybe she says something like, oh, so I'm feeling tired because I had this, crazy experience in my home country. So now I'm here in Bali doing this. And so you respond like, oh yeah, I know how that can be when you've had this like bad experience and now you're on a healing journey and these things, right? So connect, mirror things back, this kind of technique. And then the next thing you want to do is similar to how I said earlier, if she's not interested, you just walk away, but you also want to look for IOIs, right? So you want to put some pauses in the conversation. And if she's even remotely interested, she'll start asking you questions, right? And so when she's asking you questions, what you want to do is you want to use this as an opportunity to display confidence, to display your values, to display your interests, right? And this is done through how you answer the question, right? So you look at this as an opportunity, similar to the eye contact. You look at your answering of her questions as an opportunity to feel into your energy, to exude confidence, to exude, something interesting, to exude value. Not in like an over-the-top, brag about yourself, cocky kind of way, but you just use it as an opportunity to, yes, display, right? Display. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. This is my energy. And she'll pick up on that. And that's when you got to kind of, don't just unconsciously answer questions, right? Just really try to bring more consciousness and interest and display into your answers, right? And finally, in the techniques portion of this video, you want to hone your radar, right? So as you're having this interaction, you want to hone your radar and your sensitivity to her interest, how things are going. And you'll get better and better at this as you go. It usually becomes kind of obvious. Like if she's kind of standing there having a conversation and it's continuing to go and you're bringing somewhat of a flirty, kind of mature sexual energy to it, she'll pick up on this and it'll start to take its own form, right? And you just kind of got to flow with that. And after that, like really techniques, there's not much use to them. You just want to like become more intuitive as the interactions go and, keep that kind of playful, fun, flirty sexual energy alive, keep the polarity alive, and don't slip too much into the friend arena, right? Like, you want to keep the polarity, you want to be mature about this is a sexual potential relationship. You don't want to go too much into the chill, friendly, social guy. And I know that's confusing because that's kind of what I just said to do, but you do want to keep the polarity there, right? You don't want to just be friends with everybody at the venue, even the women that you're interested in, right? So don't get friend zoned too quickly, and kind of keep that maturity there of this is a sexual relationship, possibly. So yeah, there it is, guys. This is Conscious Pickup. I think this is much more valuable and important and powerful than Tinder and dating apps. I mean, those are just so goddamn draining and such a disappointment. This way you can not only hone your social skills and your real world intuitions, but you can actually master this process of meeting people, meeting women, and getting good at sparking that chemistry right off the top. And this can go with you, for the rest of your life, right? This is a very powerful skill to have. And you'd be amazed at how important just this first interaction, this approach, the environment you're in, the mindsets that you have, how big of a difference it makes to potentially finding a girlfriend or a lover or things like that. Just those first 30 seconds to a minute can really make or break the whole interaction, right? No matter how interesting you are, how much work you've done on yourself, or what you can provide, it's really, there's a lot in those first moments. And really you're kind of creating that from the second you step in the venue, right? It's how you're holding yourself, it's your energy, things like that. Like, women are always looking around, they'll notice that, they'll see that, you'll stand out. So the pickup, or whatever you want to call it, the approach starts before you've even said hello, right? It starts from the moment you enter the venue, right? And it starts even before that, starting with your mindset, your work on yourself, your life purpose, your mastery, your discipline, your sexual energy, things like that. So yeah, I hope this helped. This was a lot of information. I was kind of blown away by how long and how much information this was, but I wanted to get it all out there for the ones out there, the people out there, the guys out there that are watching this and really want to know, right? Like, they're not just looking for quick hits of dopamine, clickbait kind of shit. Like, this is really in-depth stuff. Like, I'm giving you what actually works, right? This isn't cheesy, stupid lines, one-liners, or, go run around a club and talk to as many women. Like this, I want this to actually be effective and work and get results, because it gets results for me. And I wanted to share that. And I think this is a very important part of life that we are more and more confused on and missing out on these days. So there'll be a lot more of this. As I said, my year moves in cycles. The first 4 months are like interviews, mastery, discipline, these kinds of things, life purpose. The second 4 months are more like dating and the material world and finances and socializing and learning these skills and doing these things, building community, building friend groups, lovers, mastering the sexual energy. And then the fourth is the last 4 months are, consciousness, meditation, God realization, kind of going more into solitude, stepping offline, stepping off work, all of these things. So there you go, guys. I hope this helped. And go out there and use these things, put it into action. Don't let fear run your life. And best of luck. Talk soon. Ciao.